Oh, we're just going to toss this if you tell us who your anonymous sources are. Hi, and welcome to Blossom Talk. I'm Shady Floor, journalist, Hollywood troublemaker, and your favorite voice of reason in a town built on illusion. Let's unpack the madness, the hypocrisy, and everything else that infuriates me and inspires me about celebrity culture, especially Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal feud. Anyways, you guys, today is a weird day for me. I was so excited that my subpoena was withdrawn this weekend, but at the same time, I feel like all of this really got under my skin. I know I should probably just put on the brave face and say, this doesn't really affect me and the truth needs to come out. But at the same time, we're all human beings, and being and receiving threats like this, threats to my personal life, to my privacy from these powerful people in Hollywood is extremely intimidating. And the thing is, just because they withdraw that subpoena, this is not over. And I'm sure they're going to try and get to me in other ways. And it's really sad, but I have to be honest that it has taken away some of my drive to continue talking about this. And of course, that's exactly what they wanted. And of course, I'm not going to do that. I just wanted to be honest with you guys because so many of you have been so supportive and so nice. And I really appreciate that. And it really helps me a lot to know that you guys are there and that you're watching my channel and that you're supporting the truth with me. But at the same time, it is hard to stand in the middle of something like this because the way things looks now is like, oh, they went after those creators and then they withdraw them. So it's kind of no harm done. That's what the public will think when they see this, because there hasn't been a lot of this in the press. But for us who's been in the middle of it, and I have a good support system around me, but some people don't have that. And I just feel so terrible for those people that have to deal with this on their own, and for people who have no experience at all dealing with legal stuff like this. As you know, I had a very public, open lawsuit against the Golden Globes, and I recognize some of these feelings again, that you get so frustrated and angry when you don't see justice. And I think that's what we're experiencing here all the time. And now that I see what they've been doing with all of us, and I'm feeling for all those content creators who filed their motions to quash, and now the judge aren't even going to look at it, because that's what Blake Lively's team did this weekend. They said, hey, don't mind those motions to quash. We don't need them anymore. So just like look away. And the things that they said to my attorney, and I know that they said it to Katie from Without a Crystal Ball, that, oh, we're just going to toss this if you tell us who your anonymous sources are, which has nothing to do with the YouTube Google subpoena, because no one can message us on YouTube. So they want to know all our anonymous sources. It just never ends. And the fact that they're just dismissing the subpoenas or withdrawing the subpoenas from the content creators and journalists that actually fought them, and not for everyone, is another reason why I think this is so suspicious. So yesterday, on a Sunday, they withdrew the subpoena for another ex-user that I had on my channel. Her username was Spiritual Shift, or is Spiritual Shift, and she wanted to be anonymous. She's a lawyer as well. Her motion to quash never even hit the docket. I don't know if they already read it and it hasn't showed up in the docket yet. And they just withdrew that on a Sunday, hoping that no one would really notice. So this is what they're doing now. They're just withdrawing all these subpoenas after people have been going through this hell for 2 weeks, trying to figure out what we're going to do about this. And now they're just writing letters like this that they did yesterday to the judge, saying plaintiff Blake Lively writes to update the court with respect to Ms. Lively's July 26th letter regarding the motion to quash to a specific portion of Ms. Lively's document subpoena to Google, YouTube, and X Corp, blah, blah, blah. For the same reason set forth in Ms. Lively July 26th letter, Ms. Lively has withdrawn the X subpoena as to Spiritual Shift and is informing the court and parties accordingly per such user requests. As you know, like they prove every time they withdraw a subpoena now, this was never about finding any facts. This is only about punishment and intimidation and trying to spread fear and get people to step away from reporting on this case. They are harassing people, and they're continuing to harass people every single day. And especially the people who don't have legal representation or don't have the skills to write a motion to quash themselves. Like me, for example, I don't know how I would do that. And I'm sure some people probably don't even know they've been subpoenaed. Also, what they're doing here is hoping that someone would give them some anonymous people that tip them off through DM or through their emails. Asking someone to do that would be the same thing as for me to ask an attorney to give over the communication that he or she had with their client that's confidential. I mean, they could lose their job for doing that. Same thing with a doctor. It's the same thing with a journalist. If you just give up your sources like that, what kind of journalist does that make you? I mean, they're just expecting us to have zero integrity for our work. It's not happening. And I think the reason why they're not withdrawing all the subpoenas at once, or the 43 that they sent out to journalists and content creators, is because then they would admit that this was a huge mistake. And that's why they don't want to do that. It's more important for them to save face in front of the judge than to actually save all these people their time and money. So they're just going to continue doing this until the deadline. And I'm sure if Google, TikTok, or X is actually responding to this, I think that's going to be a public response to say, hey, we're not giving you this information, because that's also something that we have to expect will come before the deadline for these subpoenas. A lot of people think that the social media platforms are not going to give out this information. So if they're just refusing to do that, then all of this was just a stunt. And by withdrawing these subpoenas, the judge don't have to rule on them. So if he ruled on, for example, Spiritual Shift's motion to quash, that would mean a loss for Blake Lively. Now she doesn't have to deal with that. Now it doesn't look like she lost anything because they withdrew them before the judge even had a chance to look at them. So if the Spiritual Shift had filed a motion to quash and the judge had ruled on it and she would have won, that would have created a public ruling against Blake Lively's subpoenas, and that would have set a bad precedent for the other subpoenas. So withdrawing them before the judge get the chance to rule on it, they avoid that the judge rejects them. This is a psychological tactic. This is like terrorism against content creators and journalists. Anyways, we'll see what happens later this week. As I said, the deadline is July 31st. Maybe more motions to quash are going to hit the dockets. They probably will. I think more people are going to fight this. So I'll keep you posted on that. In the meantime, of course, Blake Lively is promoting more of her hair stuff. Just when there were other stories hitting the press with the content creators being subpoenaed, Elle did this story about Blake Lively's hair care line. And here's the title of that story: Blake Lively on her Gossip Girl hair, bedazzling and the art of the ponytail. The actress and entrepreneur's new hairspray smells like vanilla and black currants. Yeah, bravo, Elle, for being on it. At the end of this article, of course, you can buy her Blake Brown products as well. This is so disgusting and so disappointing from Elle. I mean, as I mentioned so many times before, Blake Lively is doing this against mostly other women. I know for sure there's only one man that I know of who actually got these social media subpoenas. So the fact that Elle is lifting up this woman to try and help her sell more products, while all these women like me are experiencing being threatened into silence. Anyways, Justin Baldoni just came out and posted a picture on Instagram, which was very nice. I have to say, I'm happy for him and his wife, Emily. Have been together for 12 years. So He's excited to share a picture of them, and Emily did the same over at her Instagram. And of course, they're getting so many likes and so many comments. When I was looking at this, they had like 4,000 comments and 255,000 likes, and it only had been up for a few hours. So I'm so grateful and happy to see that he's getting all the support that he deserves. At the same time, Ryan Reynolds has been out and about again, trying to make fun of someone else's cheating scandal. As you know, if you haven't been living under a rock the last few weeks, there was this huge scandal at Coldplay's concert when a couple was caught cheating on camera. And the moment was just like everywhere. I've never seen anything spread so fast. It was all over the world. This couple trying to escape the camera. And then it took seconds, and everyone found out who they were and who their wives were and who their children were, like their whole family history, and everything was out in the open. And of course, a lot of us, when we saw that at first, it was kind of humorous, but then you start thinking about it. It's like all these people are getting really hurt by this. And I can't imagine the wife and the husband of these two having to go through this public humiliation that they've been going through. And of course, Ryan Reynolds and his company, Maximum Effort, seized the day to make this into comedy and make some money of it. First of all, to get a little extra attention, they chose Gwyneth Paltrow as the spokesperson for this advertisement. And this is an ad for Astronomer, the company that these two people worked for. They no longer work for them. I think they got fired or they left, whatever. When you see this ad, it's just got Ryan Reynolds written all over it. Of course, he wrote it. Of course, he directed it. I feel like there's no other way around it. Anyways, here it is.
Astronomer has gotten a lot of questions over the last few days, and they wanted me to answer the most common ones. Yes, Astronomer is the best place to run Apache Airflow. As for the other questions we received, yes, there is still room available at our Beyond Analytics event in September.
Does it look familiar to you? Does it look like something Ryan Reynolds would do? Does it look like exactly what he did at SNL 50, trying to make fun of the fact that his wife ruined another man's life, and his wife was a victim of SH, but he decided to make a joke about it? The thing is, he is trying to save this company from the embarrassment of this scandal, while still he can't make his own wife popular. And as I said, he's making this into comedy, but while other people are talking about his wife and being honest about their opinions about her, or even making comedy about her, he threatens people into silence. He mocks people. Yeah, when other women are collateral damage, he chooses to monetize it. But when it's about his wife, then he goes after people to silence them, to subpoena them. Again, as you can see, Ryan Reynolds doesn't care about accountability. He only cares about the optics. He'll sell you mock humility and performative self-awareness as long as it protects his brand. So yeah, maximum effort, sure. Minimum integrity, definitely. Fun fact about this video on Instagram that Maximum Effort posted: comments are turned off. I wonder why. Ryan Reynolds cannot tolerate any criticism when it comes to himself or his wife, but he's more than willing to mock everyone else and threaten everyone else and humiliate everyone else. Another thing with this astronomy scandal is that it is the evidence of how something can spread so fast on social media, and how internet sleuths will find out all the facts in matter of minutes, of hours. All the information is out there. This scandal was all over the world within hours. So yes, Blake Lively's team, this is yet another proof that things spreads on the internet and it can be organic. This was not a smear campaign against the people at Astronomer. So no, there is no conspiracy. There is no coordinated attack. It's just real human beings with real feelings that actually react to things that they see, they react to things that they hear, and they're sharing their opinions organically. Anyways, that's it for me today, you guys. I think I'm going to go and try and meditate or do something. Maybe I need to go and do a workout. I've been very tense today. I don't know what it is. I'm sure all of you have those days. So I really appreciate if you watch this entire video. And thank you for watching my other ones and for actually watching my podcast. There's so much more interesting content coming out, and I've interviewed some really, really fascinating people that I will publish soon on my podcast. So stay tuned for more of that. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do hit the notification bell, comment, share, and like, and all that good stuff. And thank you again for being here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.